So to start, why have a podcast? On the top here are a few reasons. Podcasts provide people opportunity to hear from others directly. Those could be your professors, your students, your other faculty members, even people from staff and leadership, like your president. It allows you to reach people who take information in different ways. Some people prefer videos, some people prefer reading, others prefer or learn the best from listening. And of course, what comes with that is the accessibility that podcasts provide in terms of being able to listen to something, by itself or while you're doing some other activity, like maybe taking a walk or doing dishes, things like that. And the last point here that I really want to emphasize is communicating authentically. We all understand that in communication strategy, it is oftentimes most effective when it's perceived as being authentic. And podcasts with the medium, provide kind of a natural way for in the conversation process for people to dig deeper into topics and dig deeper into the whys. So Rin-rin, I'll let you share a few notes from your end about Howard.
So we knew podcasts were very popular. People like to listen to them in the car while they're out running or whatever. It wasn't hard to convince people to have one. And like you said, because we already had a magazine, we had it in print, we had it in digital, we started with video, and we were just missing that audio component. And one thing I actually found when we were interviewing people, when we were talking with people and recording our podcast, is that they don't have the pressure of having the video on them. So they actually can relax a little bit, which then talks, we were talking about communicating authentically. People can actually be themselves and talk about what they know. And these people know a lot. So it's really a great way to share their knowledge and their expertise in a much more relaxed setting. And it's kind of like you're eavesdropping on this conversation that's going on. So far it's gotten just some really great, people are just really excited about it. And so we've been excited too, that people are excited about it as well.
Is there any specific example that comes to mind, Rin, about for a specific episode where the guest was really allowed to be authentic and kind of got deep into their why?
Yeah, I mean, I think every one of them actually has that. So we had there was like a business professor who she was a little nervous when she first came in. And we actually we're not as familiar with her as a person, but once you get them talking about just what they're doing. So she was talking about when she was younger and working in the finance industry and being kind of discriminated against for being a Black woman. So you've got like being Black and you've got being woman. So then she was able to kind of go more deeply and, you could ask more questions about it. And she would tell these stories about how, she was told to go home and change her hair. She had one of her subordinates was like, "Oh, you should be a secretary." I mean, these are really great stories to hear from the voice of the person that experienced it. So, that was really great.
Yeah, and so just to piggyback on that, you mentioned the story element. And so part of this can be kind of authentically, I think something that comes out is, podcasts, yes, they are a way to share information, but they're not the same as like a PSA announcement, right? And that story piece really just brings to life the work and the activities that are happening on campus.
Yes, for sure.
All right. So there's a high level, when you hear somebody say, okay, yeah, I want to do a podcast, usually one of these three reasons are in there, and then definitely there's more. When we talk about strategy impact now, I want to focus on the bottom right-hand corner of what I'm presenting. So in our work, with say Howard University and with other institutions, there's different types of podcast shows. There's shows that are focused on professors, where professors are the hosts, shows with the president as a host, research podcasts, student podcasts, alumni podcasts, and each of these podcasts kind of has different goals. Depending on who is making the show and who it's for, it's communicating slightly different aspects.